Welcome to another edition of Power Core Productions and Podcastings. And as you guys know, we have some new stories coming to the channel this week. And we're going to be kicking things off with our first new story of the week. That being Dead Alive, Spirit of the Spider. What if Shido was Spider-Man 2099? Season 1, Part 1. As always, if you're new to the channel or if you're a regular and like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications. Now, the overall tone with the Spider-Man Shido story, at least what I've been thinking of what this series would be, is that going forward, at least after the end of this phase, as far as leading the Spider-Verse charge, that's actually going to be where Shido takes his role. Now, I can't fully explain everything now, but by the end of this phase, you'll kind of understand what I'm doing. Because if you remember, this whole journey began with ReZero Spider-Man. So, with ReZero Spider-Man, I'm not getting rid of him, but I am sort of phasing his story out. So that in terms of the Spotlight Spider-Man or going forward with Spider-Verse Crisis, Shido will definitely take the forefront on that. So that's kind of the vibe I'm going for with this series. But anyway, without further ado, let's begin today's video. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. If you had asked Shido Itsuka what was he going to do that day, well, he would have told you like this. He was going to meet his little sister, Kotori, at the diner for lunch, probably go home, make some sort of dinner, and go about his day as normally as he always had. Now, if you were to have told him that his classmate, Origami, and some girl he'd never met would both have swords rammed through opposite sides of his body, one from the front and one from the back, well, he'd have told you that he'd have a better chance of getting struck by lightning. And, truth be told, he probably should have taken his chances with the lightning. No, for Shido, this was the day that everything changed. Honestly, when he looked back on this moment, he couldn't help but laugh. Was he always going to end up the way that he was? Was this something that just couldn't be avoided? A canon event, you might say. No, Shido didn't believe in such things. At least, not anymore. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go all the way back to the very beginning. Shido found himself awakening in a hospital bed, his chest having been bandaged. He had no idea how he had gotten here, and he had no idea why he was here. He faintly remembered the stabbing, that strange girl, and his classmate, Origami. Why was she dressed in tactical gear? Why was she wielding flying mechanical engineering? Why did she have a sword? And what's more important, why did he jump in between them? Shido's body just seemingly moved without him even thinking of it. Oh yeah, because I just had to play the hero. That's one way of putting it. You almost lost your life. Who are you? You can call me Reina. I serve the analytics here in Fraxinus. You're going to have a lot of questions, but I don't have the clearance, nor do I have any real authority in answering. If you're capable of walking, please follow me. The older woman with baggy eyes and silver hair tied together in a palm, with a teddy bear in her coat pocket, walked out of the room as Shido would throw on his coat and follow after. He was on board some type of ship, as she called it. Fraxinus? He'd never heard of it a day in his life. He had no idea why he was here. The only thing that Shido was concerned with was his sister. Where was Kotari? The bubbly red-haired girl who wore her hairstyle in long twin tails, often seen with a lollipop of some flavor. His little sister. He was supposed to find her. When the special quake hit, he hoped that she hadn't experienced the worst. But this Reina woman said that she was fine, calling her commander. Commander of what? His sister wasn't in any club as far as he knew. Well, as they found themselves at the deck of the flying ship, Shido would come to learn the full truth. There was more to his little sister than met the eye. The young girl stood in the command chair, as stoic as ever, as if she were in complete control of the situation. For Shido, he had seen his sister in many lights, but this was not one of them. Kotari would greet her brother. Of course, she knew that he would have many questions, but for now, she had to give him the rundown of what was going on. In short terms, that girl that he had seen, the girl in the armor, codenamed the Princess, was a spirit, and spirits were what caused spatial quakes. What are spatial quakes, you might ask? Well, for many, they were considered phenomena, acts that couldn't be defined by all logic. The first had occurred over 30 years ago. It damaged the continent of Eurasia. Over 150 million lives were lost. They occurred sporadically years after, with the most devastating one occurring only 5 years ago. Most of them, while they were known to happen around the world, specifically targeted Japan. They were where it was most common for it to happen. Although, 10 years ago, there was said to have been a spatial quake that hit New York in the United States, although that could never be confirmed or denied. For many, living in fear of the next spatial quake was just something that came naturally. Of course, the governments of the world made various underground bunkers to keep their civilians safe in case of the worst case scenario. But truth be told, outside of, say, a worser of the quakes, if it truly came down to it, the bunkers were little more than a prayer. Of course, for the smaller ones, or the ones that were more insignificant, you could survive well enough. But at ground zero, well, you would hope that whoever you prayed to, whatever god or entity that it might be, that they would answer your solemn cry for help. Because more often than not, if you were at ground zero of a spatial quake, there was no matter of surviving. Survival was not even an option. No, the only question was how fast and how painful would your death be? Would it be swift and instant in evaporation, or would you be crushed to death? Hopefully, if you're crushed to death, you're crushed in an instantaneous fashion, but then there are the other poor souls who somehow manage to survive that. If they're never found, they die a slow, agonizing, painful death. And if they're found, even if they recover, you'll never be what you once were. No, that much was for certain. And that was the fear that many people lived in, daily, in and out. Of course, for Shido, to learn that that girls of all things could cause such destruction, well, it was unfathomable. However, Kotari would explain that it wasn't as if the spirits wanted to cause the chaos. In fact, they didn't have a choice in the matter. They came from another dimension, as Kotari would say. And the best way of describing it, they come from a dimension where they're allowed to let their power flow freely. The best way of describing it is like a nuclear reactor without any of the safety valves or any of the other accompaniments that go along with a nuke. It's not just powerful energy that just irradiates everywhere. No, There are safety points placed all throughout a nuclear factory or even with nuclear weapons, because if they weren't, then all that power just being allowed to roam free would do more harm and damage to the people making it than to wherever the power was being used for. Now imagine someone with all of this power going from a place where they could just let it out freely to a world that's more fragile, and with no way of having any sort of safety or control on their power. Every step they take, it just unleashes. And the sad part is that the power has to go somewhere, but their world simply isn't strong enough to absorb and contain such power. As such, when the power is released, when it's dispersed, you get a spatial quake. And what's more, you get all of the death and destruction that comes along with it. As Kotori explained this, there were also other factors as well. His friend, well, more like associate, classmate, Origami. She was a part of a task force known as the Anti-Spirit Team. Their job was to counter the spirits, and for them, it meant killing them. The only way a spirit's power could be destroyed was if you killed the spirit itself. But there was a third option, that being to seal the power. Wait, sealing their power? If you seal their power, they become harmless girls. And at the very least, they can regulate their powers better. Okay, so what? Is this what you're supposed to do then? Well, it's our job at Ratasker to save as many spirits as we can. That's why we're opposed to the AST. Alright. So why am I here? Shido would ask. Well, I guess there's no point in delaying it now. Follow me. Shido would follow his younger sister, along with Reina, as they arrived to a room. As it opened, he would find an older woman dressed in red. She seemed to have a dress that extended past her legs like a long tail that curled around where she was sitting. It looked like it was on a recliner in the shape of a large orb. Her eyes were covered in bandages. Her hair giving sign of her age. She seemed a lot frail than most. Kotori would take a bow, and so would Rain, and Shido would follow suit. It's good to see you, Grandma. Grandma? Reina would explain. She's not actually Kotori's grandmother. It's just that that's sort of the role she's played in Kotori's life. It's no need to look deeply into it. Oh, I see. Kotori, my dear, I'm so glad to see that you're doing fine and that your brother has made it. So, he is the one. Yes, Grandma. I'm thankful to you for being able to save him. I don't know what I would have done otherwise. Oh, now, my child. For you, I would do anything. And now, young Shido, please step forward. Right. Hello. I'm Shido Itsuka. I am aware. Yes, ma'am. I am Madam Webb. It is nice to meet you. You have been chosen to save the spirits. To save the spirits? Yes. It was once my responsibility, and now it is one that I must pass down to you. Pass down to me? Yeah, Kotori would say. When she saved your life, she didn't more than just revive you from those stab wounds. She imbued you with her power. Shido, you have the ability to seal the power of the spirits. Huh? What she's saying is that you have the ability to seal the spiritual energy of the spirits. By doing so, you save them from the fate of death, Reina would say. Okay, I get that part, but how? I mean, I'm sorry, but unless I'm missing something here, I have never had this power. I mean, I'm just an ordinary kid. It's what I've always... You have the potential, Shido, Madam Webb would say. I have waited a long time for someone like you to awaken. I did not want to give you my power under the circumstances that I did, but you were in such critical condition, we had to rush the process a lot further than I would have hoped. A lot further? So what? Was this like something I was always supposed to do? We didn't want you to find out this way, Kotori would say to Shido. I was hoping that maybe we could have invited you here officially, had a chance to talk things over before we went to this point, but you were in such critical condition we had to save your life. And well, as such, I'm sorry, okay? It's fine, Kotori. I don't blame you. I don't blame any of you. I'm grateful that you were able to save my life. Truly I am. So, I don't have any ill will. It's just that I kind of wish I would have known what I was getting myself into before I got dragged into this thing. But still, I don't want anyone to die. Not Origami or that girl. So if my power can save them, then I'm willing to try. It is good to hear. You are so different from that boy. That boy? I once met a young man long ago. I believed that he could be the one. That he would be capable of being the salvation to the spirits. But he was twisted. He only sought their power for his own gain. As such, I could not give him that power. So you tried to give this power away once before. No offense in me asking, but why exactly do you think I'm worthy? I've seen it. I have seen the type of man you will grow up to be, and I have full faith in you. It's why I believe wholeheartedly that I can trust you. Please. Grandma! I'm alright, Kotori. This won't be the end of me yet. It's why I entrusted to you, Shido. Please, save them. Alright. I'll do my best. From there, Shido would begin his training, as he would learn more about himself and about the power he had received. Kotori and Reina would go over everything with Shido. You see, when you were saved, Madam Webb had to use her spirit power in order to revive you. As such, the spirit power imprinted into your DNA, and as such, it imbued you with superhuman physical abilities. Wait, you mean saving me gave me superpowers? In a roundabout way, yes. You could say that it was a spiritual imprint, if you will. The power of spirit energy imprinted into your DNA. As such, it's boosted your stats, giving you superhuman physical feats. Attributes, rather. And we've taken the liberty of going over some of your other capabilities, and we've decided on the perfect motif. Motif? Well, come on. If you're going to parade around with all these powers, the least you can do is display yourself properly. What, like some type of superhero? Even better. Reina would then bring out some of the catalogs showing some of the designs. There were a lot of different motifs we could have gone with, ranging from different types of animals and creatures to other sort of themes. We were able to narrow everything down based off of animal, and these are the ones we've come up with. They're tailored specifically to the powers that you may have that are similar to yours. Okay, let's see. Wolverine. Sabretooth. Okay. A Wendigo. A mythological creature? What? Did I get turned into a Wendigo? No, just keep looking. Okay, chameleon. Scorpion? No. Rhino? I don't give off anything like a rhino. Bear. Tiger. Shark. Spider. Spider? Yeah, we have it designed already for you to go. Wait, what type of powers do I have that could be like that of a spider? Well, for one, you have enhanced strength, speed, stamina, agility, reflexes, things of that nature. Also, the powers come with the suit as well to help augment what you're already capable of. But if I'm a spider, wait a second. Shido would then put down the catalog before running to the wall beside him and jumping onto it. He was able to jump pretty high into the air. However, when he put his palms onto the surface, he wasn't able to hold on, and eventually he fell down, bumping his head. Oh! What the hell was that? What? You thought just because you had your enhanced powers, you could just crawl up walls like a spider? Come on, don't be ridiculous. But you are able to create a organic fluid from your palms and wrists. So you can do that kind of like a spider. Wait, what? Focus on your palms. Put your hands like so. Shoot out your wrist. Shido would just follow the instructions given to him by Reina, and he was able to make organic webbing. Wait a sec. If I have this, then why are you giving me all these other options? Well, I mean, come on. No one wants to be settled down with a spider. I mean, you may have had another idea. I like the idea of spider monkey. Spider monkey, Shido would say. That just sounds ridiculous. But tell me more. What exactly can or can't I do? From what he was able to gather, Shido got the gist of what he could and couldn't do. He had super strength, speed, reflexes, endurance, stamina, agility. He also was able to make his own organic webbing, but he couldn't stick to walls. He had accelerated healing, and he had the strength to lift around 10 to 15 tons. However, with the enhanced vision and hearing and other boosts to his senses, he didn't have anything that could be akin to a sixth sense, or as some would theorize, the spider sense. Although then again, that was nothing more but a theory, and besides, come on, spider sense? Who ever heard of something like that? No, in the end, Shido would have to use his senses that he already had, all 5 of them, now boosted up to about as high as they could be, in order to distinguish everything around him. When you combine all of those attributes, then you could, in a way, mimic the idea of the sixth sense. For Shido, he could see way farther than before, and his hearing had become a lot more astute. Even when he was eating, his taste buds had become a lot more sharper. He could almost detail everything he had eaten down to the last spice. It was truly a marvel to behold. Of course, his training was twofold. There was the physical training, learning how to use his powers and everything that came with them, along with getting his own hero costume. It was made from a special material known as unstable molecule fiber. It was the type of suit that was made from nanite fiber technology. It could be summoned and called for on command. Shido was able to do this thanks to a little wrist gauntlet that he carried on his left wrist. Thankfully, it was disguised to look like that of a watch, and he could also use it as a communication device. When he clicked on it, his suit would appear. Of course, he had many different options that he could go with, but Shido settled on an all blue with red spider insignia and trim, along with side blades on his arms that were retractable. Shido also discovered that his canines were a lot more sharp, a lot more pointier. Was he sure he was a spider? Maybe vampire? Although Kotri would only laugh at this. Huh, you wish. No, you're not gonna get the girls that easily. You're gonna have to learn to make them like you, not trying to hypnotize them, eh, Dracula? Huh, yeah, whatever. Alright, so what's next on the training docket? This. Kotri would hand him a dating simulator game. This? I mean, what am I supposed to do with this? You're supposed to get the spirits to fall in love with you, stupid. Fall in love? Yes? How else are you gonna steal their power? Hold on. I thought all I'd have to do was I don't know, touch them on the forehead, maybe drain them of their power somehow? I mean, I figured that's what the teeth were for. You just wanted to give them a hickey, you pervert. I am not a pervert! No, the only way you seal their power is with a kiss. A kiss? Hold on. If all I have to do is kiss them, then why on earth are you putting me through all of these obstacle courses? Some of them are dangerous, especially number 3. Number 3 almost took my head off if I didn't hear that blade saw coming. By the way, whose idea was that anyway? Reina would raise her hand. You have to be able to avoid the unexpected, Shido. You never know. Danger can come at any moment, and you have to move at a moment's notice. That's why your reflexes have to stay sharp. It's all for your benefit. You know, even when you say that, I still don't feel like it's for my benefit. However, Shido would have to take this part of his training just as seriously as any other, learning not only the art of combat, but also the art of romance. And he decided to take this knowledge out for a test drive, starting with his teacher, Okame. Miss Okame, to be more specific, the 29-year-old who was looking for love but unfortunately found it in all the wrong places. A woman approaching her 30s, and you know what to say about single women in their 30s. Well, Shido decided to test out the charm, seeing if he could get the older woman to fall in love with him. And safe to say, Shido was doing well enough, although maybe a bit too well, because soon the idea of marriage got tossed around, and the teacher was more than willing to wait for her young student for them to be of both appropriate age to walk down the aisle. Shido would have to pull out at the last moment, and before he knew it, he found himself caught within the periphery of origami. Well, he would have tried, but apparently he didn't need to. The girl liked him, like she had a wallet full of pictures of him. If Shido didn't know better, he would swear that picture looked like it came from peering inside of his window while he was asleep. Hold up, was this a breach of privacy? Of course, though, before Shido had a chance to ask any more of his own questions of interrogation, the alarm for the spatial quake would go off, and Origami would leave instantly. Most likely to go and do reconnaissance with the AST. However, Shido had something different in mind. He would make his way to an abandoned school building, where there he found her. The girl in armor, classified as the princess. She stood on guard against the young man, still wary of him, not sure what his true motives or intentions could be. However, Shido would promise he did not come there to kill her, nor was he a part of the others that were hunting her. With help from Ratasker, Shido would go through the various options given to him as he would begin, in essence, a real-life game of dating sim. Only the consequences had potentially the fate of humanity all hanging in the balance, but hey, no pressure, am I right? Well, Shido stumbled through the conversation, After all, talking to women wasn't really his forte, his strong suit. But still, the more he talked, the more you could see that this girl, she wasn't dangerous, at least not the way other people would have made her out to be. She was caught in a situation she had no idea about. She needed help, and he was the only one that could help her. However, on the outside, the AST were already hovering above the school, launching their assault. Shido donned his costume in order to keep his identity secret. Of course, the girl would be on edge, and Shido would tell her that he was just doing this for her benefit. He wasn't going to let them harm her. The girl was surprised at Shido's boldness and bravery, the fact that he was willing to stay through these rather turbulent of ordeals. However, she admired his courage. As they continued talking, Shido would ultimately ask for her name. Of course, she didn't actually have a name, so she didn't have anything to give. But she would offer for Shido the chance to name her. Thinking on the spot, he came up with the name Toka. Along with that, he also asked Toka if they could go on a date. Toka had no idea what these dates are, what they could be. Was it a challenge? A duel of some kind? No, it was just for the two of them to spend time together, if she was willing. Well, Toka was willing. Giving him the chance, the two of them would make their escape, as Toka would change from her armor to a school uniform similar to that of Shido's. And with that, the date would commence. Thankfully, Shido would have communications with Ratasker the entire time. Although he had never been on a date himself, the one thing he had learned was that as long as whoever you were with were enjoying themselves and having a good enough time, then there wasn't really anything to worry about. Of course, the two were not alone, and Shido was able to pick up on this. Out the periphery of his left eye, he could see that they were being watched, although he didn't really get a good chance to see who it was. And it was none other than Origami. Origami had been tasked by the AST to keep track of the spirit, and she had no idea of knowing why it was with Shido, or rather, what was going on with him. The last time she remembered, he had been run through with a sword, and yet somehow he survived. And then on top of dealing with the spirit, there was said to be some other person, a figure in blue with the insignia of a red spider on his chest. They had no idea what was going on, but for now, keeping track of the spirit was Origami's top priority, and to not allow the spirit to cause any harm while out in public. For Toka, the more she let her guard down, the more she opened up to the wonders of the world around her, especially the food. Among many of Earth's delicacies, it was bread that she took most of her liking to, and she did not leave the bakery undeterred, as she made sure to try every sort of bread that she could. Thankfully for Shido, Ratasker was going to be covering the bill for this date, and he was thankful, because if they weren't, well, Shido might have had to turn to a life of crime. Oh no, he couldn't do that. He didn't have the heart for it. But when he saw the bill once again, maybe crime wasn't such a bad idea. All the same though, the date went just about as well as you could have hoped for, with the two eventually arriving to oversee a sunset looking out at the city. For Shido, he was told by the others in his comms that now was the time. The atmosphere was set, the mood was right. All he had to do was plant a kiss, and her power would be sealed. However, before Shido could even have a chance to enact such an idea, as he and Toka were looking into each other's eyes, he saw from behind off in the distance Origami. What she had with her was a specially made sniper rifle, made specifically for spirits. One shot through the heart was all it would take. Toka completely unaware. Almost as if fate were playing some cruel, sick joke, the shot had already been fired. For Shido, he was registering everything, but while it was moving slow in his mind, in the world, everything was moving at almost 100 miles a minute. It was just like Reina said. Using his senses, he had to always stay on guard. No wonder why it must have been difficult if this is what they had to deal with. With spirits, you never knew when someone was going to attack them. Being alert 24/7. Was this why he had been given the power? The power to protect not only humanity, but the spirits as well. Shido would move Toka out of the way at the last second, pushing her to the side for safety as he took the hit, square in the chest. Origami panicked in that moment. This wasn't supposed to happen. She didn't mean to hit Shido, but it happened so suddenly. Why had he pushed her out of the way? The shot was supposed to be fast enough. It was almost as if he perceived it ahead of time. And for Toka, the sorrow and anger that washed within her, the darkness that stained her heart at the sight of Shido's fallen body. She donned her armor once more, unleashing her power to its fullest extent. Origami tried her best to combat her, but still, the wrath of a spirit is something that cannot be quantified. And as such, Origami found the true disparity in their power against one another. The difference between a spirit and a human. For Toka, the only thing that mattered in that moment was avenging Shido. She was prepared to do so, that was, until, from out of nowhere, she felt something grabbing onto her. It was Shido. Somehow he had survived. That healing factor, it was really something else. That could have been a whole lot worse. But still, they had more pressing matters. Toka's power was going out of control. If they didn't do something soon, there was going to be another spatial quake, and everything would be destroyed. Shido would tell Toka that he had a way of stopping it, and Toka wanted to stop it, although she didn't know how. Shido told her the way. At first, he was worried he would be rejected, the idea of kissing, since, of course, to any sane person, the idea of kissing in this moment wouldn't have made any sense, but Toka wasn't against the idea. She just didn't know what a kiss was. Well, they say practice makes perfect, and nothing deserves more attention than potentially the end of humanity. A kiss that was rushed, a kiss that was coarse. For many, you could say it was imperfect. But in this situation, it was exactly what it needed to be. The power would dissipate around her. The spatial quake, the alarms, all starting to die down. As the power that was now at an all-time high began to vanish. Shido felt invigorated. He could feel the power flowing within him. This is what they meant, to seal the power. Shido was the container, the vessel in which the power was contained. That's what he was meant to be. As he held Toka close to him, there was a caveat, that being in the sense that, well, her power was sealed away, but for some reason, all of her clothes vanished in the process. As she found herself pressed against him, not wanting to have herself be revealed, Shido would thankfully take his coat and wrap it around her. He expected the absolute worst, but no, she only held on to him close, thankful that he had survived. For Shido and for Ratasker, this was their first success, the first spirit, and her power successfully sealed. But this was just the beginning, a long road ahead of them. There would be more spirits out there in the world, potential targets for the AST and others with their own ulterior motives. For mankind, he was what stood between their survival and their destruction. And for the spirits, the same. He was more than just a hero. He was now something greater. He was Spider-Man, guardian of the spirits. This concludes Data Live, Spirit of the Spider. What if Shido was Spider-Man 2099, Season 1, Part 1. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue Kill la Kill, The Web of Life. What if Spider-Gwen was in Kill la Kill, Part 8. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.